Today we'll be constructing this miniature teepee. It's made out of fabric and the base is made out of vinyl and foam. So what we're going to be doing is constructing it, assembling it together. We're going to start with the base. I'm going to start with that arrow. It's pointed at the first hole. You'll see the pre-punch holes. Every second hole, there's a pre-punch hole. That is where we're going to put our teepee poles. To give it some strength, we're going to dab the flat end, not the pointy end. The pointy end points up towards the sky. So the flat end, we're going to dab it in the glue. And we're going to put it at our starting point where the arrow is. And we're going to go right around. We'll continue putting the teepee poles in every second hole. And we're just going to leave them stand up like that. So every second pre-punch hole, we're going to put one of these little teepee poles in it. The glue will dry and it will straighten the teepee poles into the base of the teepee. You'll notice these extra holes here. Them holes we're going to use last. That's actually for our flag poles. So we'll skip these holes for now and we'll continue on. And every second hole, skipping these two holes, we're going to leave them open. And we'll continue. And we're just dabbing the glue and inserting it into the pre-punched holes. And that's what we want. So we're going to turn it around and we'll go to the next step. So the next step, this glue has been drying. We're going to start at our starting point where the arrow is. And we're going to slightly bend it in the center of this hole, just to kind of bend it over. Now with the second pole, we're going to place it on this pole, on the first pole. I am going to position my fingers just to kind of keep things in place. Keep the poles in place. So the third pole, I'm going to put it on the second pole. And I'm going to keep on doing this. The fourth pole is going to go always on top of the third pole, and the fifth pole is going to go on top of the fourth pole. And it just makes it easier to work with at the later stages. So I'm going to reposition my fingers. Continue with the poles, placing it in a nice orderly fashion. And if we give a top view, it'll be nice and clean. So we're going to identify our starting point, and we're going to take the elastic and we're going to put it around the top of the poles. Like that. And we could roll the elastic down. Next completes this stage. So we're going to jump on to the next step, is working with our skirt of the teepee. You'll notice all the pre-punch holes at the bottom. And on one side, this from one hole to this edge is a little bit shorter than on this side. This hole to this edge is a little bit longer. So if we look at our teepee, our base, our starting point, we're going to put the smaller hole from the edge, the short distance from the hole to the edge. We're going to put it right where that arrow is. So we're going to put the skirt around the teepee poles, and we're just going to let it sit. And now we're going to examine the holes. This teepee holes, the holes punctured in the fabric, and we're going to look at the holes punctured in the vinyl of the base, and we're going to line them up. And they're all pre-punched so they'll line up. So once it's lined up, you may have to adjust your elastic on top of the poles. By lowering it, it'll give us a lot of room, a lot of working area that we could put the little teepee pole, the pegs in each punched area on the base. We're going to go through, we're going to punch it in and place it in. Find lower the elastic, the easier it is to work with the fabric. Whereas if we have our elastic rolled up too high, it'll create a space there and it'll be difficult to put the... So we have the fabric, the skirt wrapped around the teepee poles, and we're going to begin using the pegs. What's recommended is to dab a little bit of glue on the tip of the pegs on the pointy end. We're going to insert in the first hole. And we're going to insert here, and we're just going to push it in. And we're going to continue. We'll grab the second peg. We're going to adjust our, make sure that our teepee skirt is correctly in place. We're going to go to the second hole. We're going to do the same thing. Find the pre-punctured hole in the vinyl, and we're just going to pierce it into the foam. Push it in like a thumbtack. And we'll do it this step until we got to the front of the teepee. Got to be aware of where the holes are. Makes it a lot easier to push the pegs in. When the glue sets, it'll be a lot more easy to work with, whereas they won't fall out. We'll continue on. Keep in mind, remember the flag poles, these two additional holes. And continue. Pushing the peg, dipping in glue, put it through the hole, the fabric hole, then through the vinyl hole. pushing it in like a thumbtack. Same process all the way around. Dip it in glue. So now I'm going to leave these two holes open. We're not going to touch them. So now our skirt is in place. And the pegs are holding the fabric onto the base of the teepee. Okay, so we have all the pegs firmly glued into place into the vinyl. When assembling the teepee, I forgot to put these holes in, which your kit has the holes pre-punched. So I went ahead and pre-punched these holes. So now we're going to continue on. We're going to take this little fingertip of glue here, and the glue I'm using is wood glue. I find it works really well. So we're just going to put a little little dab at the bottom of the door opening. So the glue is right at the edge. And we're going to take and we can push down, gluing the two ends together. So that's the lower part of our door. We'll continue on. We have these 3 small wax thread. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through this hole, through that hole, we're going to pull it, and we're going to go through this hole, and we're going to go through this hole. So it should look like that. And we'll continue on with the second wax thread, and we'll do the same process. Go through that hole, through that hole. We could open up the skirt just to get a little bit easier handling of it. Go through that hole. Oh, sorry. Go over here. Go in this hole. There's the second wax thread, and we'll do the top part, same process. We wanna go over and into that hole. So we're going in that hole, and we're gonna go out. And it should look like this. So once our wax thread is in place, we could cut this elastic. I'm going to use some pointy scissors. I'm just going to snip it. and I'll remove the elastics. So now I can begin to tie up these wax thread. I'm going to pull it together. I'm just going to do a knot, just like your beginning stages of tying your shoelace, the same knot. Just going to put another one in there just to secure it. I'll leave it. Then I'll go to the second one. Adjust it if it needs to be adjusted. And tie in a knot. I'm going to pull. Here's one loop, and I'll make a second loop, a second knot. And I'll leave it. And I'll do the same thing with the third wax thread. I'm gonna look at my flags, my the wind flaps for the Tipi. So now we could trim the wax thread. So the wax thread is tied up, and we cut the elastic on the flagpole. So now I'm going to take my thumb and my pointer finger, and I'm going to go over the Tipi poles up high, and I'm going to gently squeeze. By doing so, the fabric will tighten up. See, it's loose there now, but if I squeeze, it's going to tighten up. So I'm going to take my wax string, so I'm going to grab it by the middle. So like, here's one end of the wax thread, here's the other end of the wax thread. Okay, there's the two ends. I'm going to find the middle part of the string. So now I have thread on this side and even thread on this side. So I'm going to continue on with my hold that I had on the Tipi poles. In the middle of the wax, the sinew, I'm going to wrap it around the Tipi poles. Twice. And now I could just simply pull these two strings, kind of add some tension onto it, pinch the wax thread. Now with one of the two strings, the two wax thread, I'm going to wrap it around 2 or 3 times, pull it so it's nice and firm. Then with the other lace, the other overhanging wax sinew, I'm going to wrap it around a few more times, and that should give us enough tension on. So we tied it up. Now I'll trim it with the scissors. Notice these two holes here on the flaps, the wind flaps. I'm going to take this wax thread, and I'm going to go focus on the bottom, not the top but the bottom. So I'm going to put it through this hole and through this hole. And pull it. Through the holes. Now I'm going to find a random peg. I'm going to wrap it around 2 or 3 times around the peg. For me, I glued the pegs into the base, so it's much more stronger now. So I don't have to worry about the peg coming out or coming apart because it's glued in there. I'm going to tie a knot on this end. I'm going to turn the teepee over to reposition it to this side. And I'm going to use this peg. And I'm going to wrap it around 2 or 3 times, nice and gently. And it was glued in there, but sometimes the glue could break off. And we don't want that, so we just want to be nice and gentle with it. Put a knot in there. We'll trim. And this part is just for the visual of it to make it look nice. So our last step is to put the flag poles on. So everything is coming together. It's being laced together. We're going to turn the teepee pole around, the teepee around, and remember these 2 open holes. We're going to take our bent flag poles. I'm going to put the flat end in some glue. And I'm going to start with this hole here. Insert the pole into the vinyl. Reposition the teepee where it's comfortable for me to put this tip of the flagpole into the top hole, like that. And now the other pole, I dabbed it in glue and I'm going to put it in this hole now. I'm going to turn the teepee around so it's easy for me to work. It's comfortable for me. Kind of gently bend it with my fingers, but not too much because I don't want to snap it. And that's it. The assembled teepee. Now if you want to add some decorations or to paint it, you could paint it with maybe a paintbrush and put some designs on it. This one here, I used a marker or a pen, and I just made little designs, like a little flower. I put little wiggly lines up here, kind of decorate it a little bit. I put some stars up here. I put the sun, or you could put animals or a fish. You could get creative with that, with the decorations. To prevent it from fraying, I used, if deciding to spray it, I used crystal clear. It's a coating, it's a finish coating. But the issue with this, when you spray it, it's really strong. So it's probably not good for your lungs. So if you're gonna do it, I recommend doing it outdoors or in a well-ventilated area. The pros of it, it gives it a nice shine to it, nice and glossy, and it stiffens up the fabric. Meaning when it's sprayed, it's easy to make your designs on. Whereas if you don't use this, you can still use it. It's still good quality, but you just don't have the shine or the stiffness. But it's still stiff. It's still doable to paint your designs on it. This is optional. You see the foam and the vinyl. What I did, I sewed it. I took a needle and thread and I went around, all the way around with the needle and thread. Then I tied it in a knot here to end my sewing. I find sewing it makes it much more better quality, so it's not going to come undone. But that's up to you. If there's time to sew it up and to paint it, to decorate it up, then that would be great. If not, it's still a good teepee. The hole in the bottom is for inserting a tea light. So you could purchase a tea light at the dollar store or at Michael's or at Walmart. It fits in there. So if we shut off the light, which I'll show you, it has the appearance of, there's a little fire inside. It looks really nice. So that concludes our teepee lesson. Feel free to contact me anytime with any questions. Use my info, and I'd be happy to share some traditional knowledge of the arts and crafts and harvesting of the forest. Miigwech. Thank you. Merci.